Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar about Alation in Snowflake, deliver data governance for the data cloud. First of all, thank you for taking the time for joining us today. The agenda for today will cover an intro to Alation, so you can get an understanding of the problems that we are looking to solve and how we approach things and why we do things the way we do. We will then go through a live demo so you can see in action how it's going to help you not only search and discover your assets, but also how to govern them. You will see how data governance can help you with cloud migration. And at the end, we will run a Q&A. So at any time during today's session, please post any questions you may have in the Q&A section of the control panel. The Q&A today will be supported by Tom from our sales engineering team. And if we are not able to answer all your questions, rest assured we will follow up with your questions after the session. We will leave nothing unanswered. And yeah, for now, I would love to hand over to Zoeba, who is our presenter for today. Zoeba, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, everyone. My name is Zoeba Qureshi. I'm a senior sales engineer at Alation, and I'll be taking you through the presentation and demonstration. So look forward to your questions afterwards. So with the success of data governance, we constantly hear from customers about the real struggles to balance these two tensions: risk management while truly making data accessible with data discovery and use. And through our partnership and integration with Snowflake, we can make it even easier to balance these two objectives. These two compelling objectives drive data governance failure. On one hand, you're able to reduce the risk, but you don't allow for the free flow of information to move with agility. Here, IT manages the data, ensures the data quality, establishes business rules, and performs analysis. But the result is a wall between IT and the business users who need to act upon it. On the other hand, making data accessible to everyone makes digital information available to the average non-technical user. It gives them the ability to be able to gather, analyze the data without having to seek help from a data steward, system administrator, or someone in IT. But in reality, most of you are on the left. The perfect scenario is when there's a right balance between reducing the risk and data democratization. So many of you are likely to be familiar with Alation, but in case you're not, we essentially invented the data catalog and are the leading data intelligence platform that brings together data governance, data discovery, and digital transformations. Our mission is to help customers answer these core questions. How do I find data? If I find something, can I use it? And should it be used? How should it be used? Are there any important data policies in place that I need to be aware of? So you may think, what is a data catalog? A data catalog helps you understand all metadata of your data assets across the enterprise, including what's in Snowflake. We can help non-technical and technical users find, discover, and trust data assets to jumpstart the analysis process. So those three keywords that I use: find is the best information to answer your questions, because there's likely too much information, not too little, especially now as companies are keeping all kinds of information assets. The second word that I used, understand, as much content about the data as well as who uses it and for what purpose. And then the third word, trust. You need to be confident in the data in the way that it's compliant with your organization's data governance policies. We have many stories where customers are able to reduce the amount of time to find that right data from months down to minutes. And this is important as it's the most challenging and time-consuming part of an end-to-end analytical process. So what I'd like you to take away from this slide is how we tackle data silo problems from different angles. Alation tackles data silo challenges by helping users in the middle around finding and trusting the data. Snowflake tackles the data silos by helping with centralizing the data storage, giving access to the right people on a centralized data storage system. This is how we break down data silos together, by helping joint users understand the data, govern the data, and accelerate cloud migrations, a very popular use case. In the demonstration, you will see how Alation uses to navigate and discover the data within Snowflake, and clearly highlight the policies in place, with descriptions in natural English to be able to describe the technical assets. Alation helps organizations to identify source systems, source system data that is being used the most and to be migrated over, giving the business the information they need, and also informing the user of the migration process that's being done. So we help organizations develop a data culture. The Alation vision is to help consume data as an organization and to empower a curious and rational world. This means that people need to be able to ask questions, generate value and efficiencies to help digitize business. And in order to get there, you have to have a data culture. Now, it can be really hard work. People, process, and technology all have to be in place. And there are generally 3 pillars that need to be aligned to get a data culture environment up and running. The first is discovery. If you don't know what we have, you need to break down those silos. That's important. Just because the data exists and I can find it is not enough. You have to make sure that you have the skills and context to capture the tribal knowledge in all of those employees. Take that tribal knowledge and turn it into institutional knowledge that feeds that data culture. Then the final step is governance. Need to assign a level of ownership and not create friction and risk. If you want to build towards a data culture, you have to build towards these 3 things. So now I'm going to take you through Alation and using a Snowflake data source. So I'm just going to switch over to my demo environment. And Alation, when a user logs into Alation, they come to a homepage. And here I am logged in as an analyst. And what you can see in front of you is, just to explain what you see in front of you, is a customized homepage where all users will come to. They can see quick environments where they can have a quick link into. They can see where they've recently visited, and they can see additional content by the company that wants to advertise additional information to the users. On the left-hand side, if I open up these 3 bars, what you can see is access to data sources and file systems. So we have about 90 plus different connectors connecting to different systems. So if you're doing a migration, being able to bring the source systems and the target systems like Snowflake, you're able to catalog all of the technical metadata. We also connect to business intelligence tools, such as Tableau. And here what you'll see is being able to look at the different types of analysis being done by different users and explaining all of the technical content that exists in, say, for example, Tableau. What we generate out of Alation is queries, articles, and conversations. These are created within the catalog. Queries that other users are writing to be able to give you the ability to be able to reuse someone else's work. Articles is like a Wikipedia. It's a documentation. management of the different types of documents, whether that's policies, governance details, documents, but even consider processes that you may have and you want to inform users of how to use it. Conversations. People have conversations about data all the time. Why not capture that within the catalogue so that you don't ask the same question multiple times? It's reuse of people's knowledge, and instead of bothering someone all the time, you can actually find it within the catalogue. So I'm going to go into a persona. So as I said, I'm logged in as an analyst, and my target is to create a report based on banking information. And what I want to do is find out about deals and customers that exist within the Snowflake environment. So for the top bit, I haven't mentioned the secret sauce of Alation, which is the search capability. So I can use Alation to be able to search in natural English. So it's like a Google-like search where I can type in a word like investment, because that's what I'm trying to search for. And what it will do is search through the entire catalog and give me results based on the word investment. So because I'm creating this report, I'm going to search for investments. And at the top, I'm going to use the filters to actually dive into a specific area that I'm interested in, because I want to understand the technical assets within Snowflake. So here I can use the filters at the top to actually filter into just table information. And now you can see that I am now reduced down to 3 results. Straight away, my eye is drawn to these trust flags, and I can see that I've been given some endorsements, warnings, and you'll also see some deprecations, and I'll explain this in a minute. But I can see that broker deal revenue is a table that I'm interested in, and it holds information about ongoing investment banking details. When I click through into that, it takes me into a Snowflake environment and the actual table information. So it's taken me into that technical metadata catalog page that explains more detail about what this table means. Now, as you can see straight away, I can look at the warnings at the top. So deal fact actually means broker deal revenue. And straight away, the trust flags now tell me some additional information. So I'm self-learning and I'm self-guiding the users that look at this page and give them more additional information. I can see here that this table is subjected to regional access policy and there is a PII data policy in place. I can review these documents and remind myself of what the policy is. And this can be all stored within Alation. I can see additional information of when the documentation of whether it's privacy, who the reviewers are, and I can see additional information about the policy itself. Going back to the table page, now I can look at the description. So I got an English translated version. Many people can go into Snowflake. You may use a naming convention that may not make sense. Alation is translating that information into normal English so that non-technical and technical users can understand the naming convention that's being used. As part of our Snowflake integration, we're also bringing in the Snowflake tags that have been assigned. So it gives you an easy way to understand that data. As I look down on this page, I can see who the top users are of this table. And I can also see popularity. Now, popularity is a unique feature which gives you intelligent behavior about how people are using the Snowflake environment. So it's created on the basis of usage. How popular are these columns within the Snowflake environment? And you can use this to identify from source systems which tables are being used the most, and these are the ones that need to be migrated across. I can see additional sample content, and I can see what type of domains it's been registered under, who the stewards are, and these can be customized to your environment to add additional information to the users. I can see who the data owners are, data quality information, and classification information. If I look through into columns, I can see all of the additional the columns that are based in this table. And using our AI technology, we can start identifying and titling these so that users can be more informed about what the naming convention has been used. And this is where Ali, the robot, will start recommending titles for the naming convention used. Now, as I mentioned before, popularity. Here you can see the most used assets within this table. And the ones that don't have much usage, you can see that as a bar being quite small. This gives me a good indication of which analysis I would need to use and which columns I would need to use for my own analysis. I can look at sample information. And here, if I just scroll down a bit, you can see additional information. I can see filters that are being applied within the Snowflake environment. I can look at join information, and again, I can see the frequency or how often these are being applied. So not only do I need to look at deal fact, but I also need to look at this dimension table as well. An important thing that we bring in is lineage. So here I am able to see the lineage of how this table has been created and the transformations that it goes through. In Snowflake, a lot of customers tend to do ELT, so you can actually see the transformations taking place. We capture this within the environment, so you can see how that table was created. It's giving me more information about how and the journey that this table has been on. I can also, if I move this along, see how it affects different reports. And I can do impact analysis to actually see if I was to change anything, where it would change in the data flow as well. This becomes very handy when doing migrations. If I was to deprecate this, you would see the flow change and how it would affect that flow. So you can do that analysis. Queries are queries that have been written by different other analysts. So if I wanted to create my report, I could reuse these. These are optimized. So instead of users doing select stars in your Snowflake environment, this is a great way to actually give a pre-optimized query to a user to be able to execute. What they can do is go with the open with. What they can do is click into the queries and actually run that form. The reason why I mention this is a lot of the time people go into Snowflake worksheets or insights and start querying the Snowflake environment. If you were to present this to a non-technical user, they may not be able to write the SQL that is required or may not write a nice SQL. So this is a great way to be able to give a user community the ability to be able to query a database, as long as they have permissions, of course, to be able to find additional information. So here I can enter in a bank ID, run that form, and this will now run and give me a result set. Oh, and it's gone a bit empty. But what I'm doing here now is giving the ability for everyone within the organization to run that query. Now, if I go back, now I've got all of that information on the basis of the deal information. If I just go slightly back, up here in the breadcrumbs, I want to find customer information. So I can go back and investigate within the schemas that are available within the Snowflake environment, and I can see that there's a customer table here as well. I can click through into that and understand the columns that are on the basis of this, look at sample information. Now, straight away, I can see SSN. If I go back to columns, I can see social security number. Now, as a responsible employee, I know that social security shouldn't be exposed because that's PII data, confidential information. What I can do is actually have a conversation with the steward. And the steward information is in the overview page. I can use conversations to actually start a conversation with Anna and say, should can't spell, should be viewable. I can use an @ sign and actually specify the table that I'm referring to, so that now I'm giving her a link to say, I can see SSN. Now, once I post this, this will now go into Anna's inbox, and sorry, and when she logs on, she will get this notification. And then she can answer it, and then if someone else sees that, they can see that I've already done this. So it's the responsibility of everyone to be able to ensure that you meet the requirements, because I've read the PII data policy, and I've also highlighted that I found something. Now, I may not have the permissions, but I can see that as part of our integration of Snowflake, we bring in the data masking policies, the row level access policies. So if we're bringing in all of those, we shouldn't be able to see this, and maybe it's something missed within the process. But as everyone's responsibility, we need to ensure that we have conversations with the right people, and this is how you bring that data culture together. I can continue on with my analysis and look through the filters and the various queries. So, and then I can build my analysis based on that. So from an analyst point of view, I've now investigated what type of deals are available. I've looked at customer information. I've found something that needs to be addressed, and I have passed it on to the relevant person. Now, if I log in as that person, Anna. So now Anna has logged onto the system, and because she is the steward of that table, the first thing that she may do is, because she's been notified in her inbox, she can go to her inbox in Alation. And here she can see the message that I have sent her. When she views that, she can directly click on the link and actually go into that particular column. Now here, she can see additional information. But down here, there's a social security number article that I can refer to, but under data policies, it doesn't look like it's linked to any kind of policies, and she's aware of the policies that have been brought in from Snowflake. So under the apps tray, what we have is the ability to look at all the different types of policies that have been brought in from Snowflake. And this is one of the unique integrations that we have. Because as you saw, we are able to bring in the different masking policies from Snowflake, we are also able to see the different types that have been applied. And here, specifically for SSN, we have this masking policy. Now, when I click through into that, I can see a description. I can see the source of which system it's coming from in the Snowflake environment. I can see the policy name. Govin is the steward of this, but I also have a responsibility of ensuring that that data is also secure. Because I have the correct privileges, what I can do is say, add columns. Now I'm going to actually authenticate myself against a Snowflake environment. I'm going to test that connection, make sure that I have entered the correct details. And now within this source, I am able to add columns to that policy. So if I search for SSN, I can see the one that I am interested in, which is the customer table. I can add that in. And once I save that and refresh the page, I have now applied that data masking policy, which is created, the SQL is down here, to that particular column. Now, this integration didn't even require me to log into Snowflake because I have the relevant permissions. I was able to apply that. From a stewardship point of view, it's a nice, easy way to be able to manage all of the masking policies. It doesn't need to go through a process where you have to inform say, the sysadmin of Snowflake or the account admin or whoever manages that. And then it goes into a process. You can do it through Alation. And that integration makes it very easy to be able to keep track and ensure that everything is in sync. So now, if I go back to my inbox and just click on that link, go back to the customer table, and now you can see samples needs to be run again because I've applied a change. Now, while it's running that sample, it's taking a preview, and straight away you can see now that that SSN policy is now masked. Now, if I go into the SSN social security number catalog page, down here, we can see now that the data policy has been updated. So we can link technical metadata to the policies automatically and be able to make sure that it's all related within the article pages. So I just wanted to give you a preview of quickly how users can use Alation with Snowflake and how easy it is to manage all of this within this Alation environment. So in summary, for many Snowflake customers, you may have seen this Snowflake architecture slide that gives the organizations the ability to be able to build a data cloud. But with Alation as part of your solution, you can intelligently, if you use the intelligence, like I showed you with the way of how to add titles, Snowflake is a clever database, but by using the AI, there's so much more that you can do around your environment. You can automate it, help to create the data. So if you have the technical metadata loaded in, you can apply meaningful English words to it so that it makes more sense. Manual creation just isn't feasible at scale. So think about the different types of schemas that you have and tables. Trying to manually update that or create a spreadsheet and then load it in, it will take ages. This is a nice, quick way of doing it. And this is all done by our behavioral analysis engine, which makes Alation the most intelligent, so it makes Alation the most intelligent catalog to be able to handle the AI and machine learning, process automation, and natural language processing. The collaboration, as you can see, it's easy to manage data in Snowflake because it uses normal SQL, but Alation gets the users to collaborate and allow the users to be able to leverage the expert knowledge of others in the enterprise. They can communicate and work together and document the data and learn from each other. As you saw, how the analysts referred to Anna, we're keeping everyone in sync, informing them of the policies that are available. And so Alation provides that built-in intelligence that gives you that guided navigation by the trust flags. You're guiding the users, making suggestions and recommendations. We're promoting the active data governance. Before you get the data into Snowflake, it has to be approved. Traditional and more passive data governance is focused more on policy documentation and audits rather than on the usage. We take a people-first approach that lives in the workflows of other users. It informs users, for example, of the data asset status, ensuring greater compliances to policies and helping avoid the use of, deprecated assets. If you were to deprecate it, you know that it's something that is being warned. And then finally, broad and deep connectivity. So we are helping Snowflake customers bring more success to the data cloud. Alation can connect to over 90 different sources through our native connectors. But, however, if you don't have those sources, that we don't have a native connector, we can use custom connectivity that can be achieved through APIs. And we're also introducing an open connector framework. So all of these ways add to the entire data catalog for a Snowflake customer.